I shouldn't have looked as long as I did. But she was laughing softly at something she'd said under her breath. Hand brushing her own cheek, eyes down, not even knowing I was watching. And then she looked back. I froze. It was the way she held my gaze, like she already knew. Not surprised. Not flattered. Just quiet, steady knowing. It started with me fixing a crooked light in her kitchen. My mom had guilted me into it. She's a friend, Leo, just help her out. It's one damn light fixture, not a kidney. So I showed up in paint-stained jeans and a hoodie, expecting, I don't know, someone brittle, maybe distracted, middle-aged and halfway out the door. But when she opened it, barefoot, hair tied up in that I don't care way that clearly took effort, I forgot how doors worked for a second. Her name was Ava, mid-40s, maybe older, not trying to impress anyone. No makeup, long-sleeved shirt that clung too well, and a voice low enough to make you lean in to hear her. "You're early," she said, smiling like she didn't mind, and then turned and walked back inside without waiting for me to answer. Her kitchen was full of little contradictions. Slate countertops but chipped mugs. A stack of untouched wine glasses, next to a half-full bottle with the cap jammed back on. Everything smelled like rosemary and vanilla, like someone had been trying to cook something personal and gave up halfway. "You live alone?" I asked, even though I already knew the answer. "Is that a question or a judgment?" She replied, not looking up from the sink. And that was how she was, never harsh, just sharp enough to keep me from relaxing. She made silence feel like something I had to earn my way out of. The ladder creaked under me as I replaced the fixture, trying not to breathe too loud. She stood below, arms crossed, not supervising exactly, but watching, occasionally tilting her head like she was about to ask something, then choosing not to. I liked that. I liked that too much. "Why aren't you out somewhere?" she finally asked, eyes on my hands above her. "Like at a party? With someone your own age?" Her tone was playful. Her eyes weren't. "I like quiet," I said, and it was true. But it wasn't the answer to her question. She didn't speak again for a while, just turned toward the window and pulled her sleeves down over her wrists. That's when it happened. I stepped down the ladder, turned to say something dumb, maybe a joke about her bulb finally working, and she was there, too close. She was biting the inside of her lip, holding a mug, but not drinking. I let my eyes catch her face, then her neck, then the curve of her shoulder, and I knew I should have looked away. But I didn't, and she caught me, just a flick of her eyes. Not cold, not warm, just sharp. A sliver of silence stretching between us. She took a slow breath, then stepped back, mug clinking softly against the counter. I opened my mouth. No sound came out. Before I could try again, the doorbell rang. She didn't look at me as she turned to answer it, but I swear I saw her smile. It was a man at the door. Polished shoes, too white of a smile. Called her Avies. I stayed quiet in the kitchen, not listening, but not listening either. He brought wine. She laughed, but it was tight. Familiar, but not fond. 5 minutes later, she walked him back out. Said something about rescheduling. No kiss goodbye. When she came back inside, I was pretending to fix the screws again. She didn't speak for a minute, just leaned against the wall with her arms folded, watching me like I was a puzzle she didn't want to finish. "Ex-husband?" I asked. I meant it as a joke, a throwaway line, but she blinked like I'd touched a bruise. "No. Worse," she said. I glanced at her. She didn't elaborate. Instead, she walked to the stove, turned on the kettle, and said softly, "Why are you still here, Leo?" I didn't know how to answer that. Not in a way that didn't sound obvious. She found 2 old mugs. One had a crack along the rim and poured tea. The air was warm now. The window cracked open enough to let in the scent of jasmine from outside. I took the mug, sipped. Too hot. Burned my tongue. She noticed, smiled faintly. "You're not used to things that take time, are you?" I looked up. She looked away. Ava had been married once, for 12 years. That's all she said. No kids. Never timed it right, she murmured. I told her my dad left when I was 15. I didn't mean to say it. It just fell out. She didn't react right away. Just tapped her fingers against her mug, then nodded, like she understood more than I was willing to explain. You always try to fix things? She asked. I frowned. The light, the kitchen, the quiet, she said with that knowing voice again. I laughed short, nervous. You always push people away? She didn't laugh, didn't even blink, just whispered, only the ones I shouldn't want. Silence again. And then she reached across the small kitchen table. Her hand brushed mine. Not like in a movie. No slow motion, no music. Just the barest contact. But it felt like someone had grabbed my chest and pulled. I didn't move. Neither did she. Fingers still touching barely. She said, "You should go before it gets darker." But her voice didn't match her words. There was a softness in it. A pull. I stood, slowly. Tried not to look too long. Tried not to seem reluctant. At the door, she hesitated. Rested her fingers on the frame, as if trying to hold the moment in place. "I'm not a good idea," she said. I almost said, "I know." Instead, I asked, "Can I come back tomorrow?" She didn't answer. Just closed the door slower than she needed to. "You're spending a lot of time over there," Sam said, not looking up from his phone. My roommate had a way of sounding casual while digging into the stuff I didn't want touched. I shrugged, kicked off my shoes. "She needs help around the house. It's not a big deal. Right?" he said, glancing at me now. "You mean Ava?" That name on his tongue sounded too familiar. I didn't answer. The next time I went over, I told myself I'd stay an hour. Max, just change the leaky faucet. Keep things clean. Normal. But the moment she opened the door, wearing a faded t-shirt and holding her glasses in one hand like she'd forgotten she even had them on, I forgot how to breathe again. "You came," she said. It wasn't a question. It sounded like guilt. But she still stepped aside to let me in. She didn't hover this time. Stayed in the next room. Sorting through old books she said she'd been meaning to donate for years. We didn't talk much. Just the hum of tools, a dropped washer, the rustle of pages. Until I turned and caught her watching me. Again. Our eyes locked. Neither of us smiled. No jokes. Just the kind of silence that doesn't ask for anything, but says everything. Later, I stood at the sink washing my hands, water running too long. She came up beside me, close enough to feel the warmth of her shoulder against mine. Her hand reached past me for a towel. She didn't pull it back right away. I turned. Her eyes lifted to mine. For a second, just 1 second, she leaned in. I leaned closer, then pulled back. Fast. Too fast. My chest felt hollow. She didn't move. Didn't flinch. Just whispered, "It was just tea, right?" I nodded. Lied. She stepped away slowly, like walking off a cliff in slow motion. "I'm not going to be the reason you mess up your life," she said. "You're not," I said too quickly. She turned, finally looking at me full on. And in her eyes I saw everything she wasn't saying. The loneliness, the fear, the anger at herself for even considering this. And something else. Something that matched what was pounding through my chest. Then, a knock at the door. A male voice. Friendly. Casual. "Ava? You home?" She froze. Eyes wide. "Don't say anything," she whispered, already walking toward the front. I ducked out the back, hands still wet. Didn't even grab my tools. Outside, I sat in my car, keys in the ignition. But I couldn't drive. Not yet. I stared at her front door. It didn't open, but the porch light flicked off. I hadn't heard from her in 5 days. Not a text. Not a call. Not even a cold excuse. The tools I left at her house sat in the back seat of my car, waiting, like I was. And I hated how often I drove past her street without meaning to. On the 6th day, I saw her. At the market. Late evening. When the sky was bruising purple and gold. She was in the produce aisle, frowning at a basket of tomatoes, wearing sunglasses even though the sun was gone. I walked toward her before I had time to talk myself out of it. Ava. She froze, didn't turn, didn't speak. Then, without looking, she said, "You shouldn't be here." I stepped closer. "It's a grocery store, not a crime scene." That made her look at me. Her expression was tight, tired, not angry, worse, resigned. She opened her mouth, closed it, picked up a tomato, put it down. "I didn't know how to," she started, then trailed off. "You didn't want to," I said, sharper than I meant. That hit her. She blinked, pulled her sunglasses off slowly. "I wanted to," she whispered. "That's the problem." We stood in the middle of the aisle, between avocados and canned corn, like we didn't care who saw. "I don't get it," I said, stepping in, voice low. "You think I'm gonna fall apart? That I don't know what I want? You think this is about you?" Her voice finally rose, sharp enough to draw eyes. Then softer, "Leo, I'm not some fantasy. I'm not 20. I don't get to do things just because they feel right anymore." She turned like she was going to walk away. I reached for her wrist without thinking, just enough to stop her. She stilled, didn't pull away. "Then why do you keep looking at me like that?" I asked. She turned slowly. And this time, her eyes weren't guarded. "You have no idea how hard I've tried not to." Something snapped open between us. A wall she'd built from the start, cracked clean down the middle. I stepped closer. So did she. I could feel her breath. Her hand was still in mine, unmoving. We weren't saying anything now. There was nothing left to say. But right before I could lean in, her phone rang. Loud, shrill. She flinched, like someone slapped her. The screen lit up in her bag. She looked down. Her face changed. "Don't," I whispered. But she was already pulling away. "Leo, I can't." "You can. You just don't want to." She looked at me, eyes wide, full of something dangerously close to guilt. Or maybe longing. Or both. The phone kept ringing, and her hand slipped from mine. The voicemail came that night. I wasn't expecting it. I almost deleted it without listening. Her voice was quiet, rushed. "I didn't want you to hear this from anyone else. I should have said something earlier." Silence. Then, "Your mom. She asked me to keep an eye on you this summer. That's how this started. That's why I didn't stop it. I thought I could handle it. I thought you could." Click. That was it. I sat on my bed, phone on my chest, heart in my throat. All this time, I thought I'd just wandered into her life by accident. Turns out I was placed there. My mother, her friend, and Ava she'd known the whole time. I didn't sleep, didn't answer texts, didn't open my books or touch my tools. I just kept replaying every look, every brush of her hand. Every time she told me to leave. Was it guilt? Was it control? Or was it all real? And she just couldn't admit it? I showed up at her house the next morning. No warning. No reason. She opened the door in a bathrobe, hair still damp. Surprised. Maybe scared. But she didn't shut me out. "Leo, you knew," I said, walking past her. "From the beginning." She closed the door slowly. "Yes. You knew my mom asked you to, what? Babysit me?" She flinched. "It wasn't like that." "No? Because it feels like that." She sat on the edge of the couch, rubbing her temples. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't expect you to." She stopped herself. "To what?" I stepped closer. "To fall for you?" Her eyes snapped up. Something flickered in them. "Panic? Anger? Longing?" "I never lied to you," she said quietly. "Not about what this became. But you hid the truth. You let me come back. Over and over. I told myself it was harmless." Her voice cracked. "That it would pass." "And did it?" I asked. Silence. I waited. So did she. And then, no, something in me broke open. Relief and fury tangled so tightly I couldn't breathe. You don't get to run anymore, I said. Her head snapped up. You don't get to hide behind age or mistakes or my mother. I never meant to hurt you. Then don't. She stood. We were inches apart. Her hand reached out, then stopped midair. I can't undo what I knew, she said. But I didn't fake this. Not 1 second. I believed her, and it made everything worse. Just as I reached for her, a knock at the door. Louder this time. My mom's voice. Ava? Are you home? She looked at me, eyes wide. No time to move. The knock came again. Louder this time. Ava? It's me. I just need a minute. My mother's voice, firm and familiar. Too close to break the moment without shattering it. Ava froze. Her mouth parted like she wanted to say something, but no words came. I could feel her pulse from where I stood, just inches away. I stepped back. She followed. Her eyes were glassy now. Not from tears, something heavier. Shame, maybe, or the way guilt looks when it's been sitting for too long. I can't lie to her, she said. You didn't, I whispered. You just didn't tell the whole story. She trusted me. So did I. That silenced her. Behind the door, my mom's keys jangled. She might let herself in. We both knew it. Do you regret it? I asked. My voice broke at the end. Not on purpose. Just cracked. Ava closed her eyes. I regret not stopping it sooner, she said. Then softer. But no, I don't regret you. It hit harder than I expected. 'Cause I wanted her to say I don't regret this. But she couldn't. Not out loud. I walked toward the door. Leo? If she hears something, I said, hand on the doorknob. Then let her hear it from us. She stepped forward, grabbed my arm. I don't want to be the reason you hate her. She's not the one I'm choosing right now. A beat passed. Longer than it should have. Then Ava whispered, then open it. I did. My mother stood there, eyes flicking between us. She took it in, the distance, the nearness, the silence. She was smart. It didn't take her long. Leo, she said, can we talk? No, I said. Not without her. Ava stepped beside me. Not behind. Beside. My mother's face hardened, but her voice stayed calm. I asked her to keep an eye on you, not fall for me, I said. She didn't plan this. And you? She looked at me like I was 12 again. But I wasn't. I'm not asking for permission, I said. No one moved. A bird chirped outside, absurdly loud. The world didn't know anything had changed. But it had. After a long pause, my mother nodded, tight, controlled. I'll be in the car. And she left. Just like that. Ava looked like she might collapse. You didn't have to. I wanted to. I turned to her. I'm tired of pretending this is something we can undo. She didn't speak, but she took my hand. Held it. Really held it. Her thumb brushed mine like she wasn't ready to let go. Then she whispered, so now what? I didn't answer, because I didn't know. But I stayed. And so did she. We didn't speak much the next few days. No dramatic declarations. No runaways or ultimatums. Just quiet mornings with too much coffee. Shared looks that held too much history. The dust hadn't settled, but the chaos was quieter now. I sat on her back steps, fixing a rusted hinge on the screen door, when she came outside with a plate of toast and a half-smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Still fixing things, she said. I looked up. Still letting me? I said. She sat beside me, not touching, but close enough that the breeze had to pass through both of us. We didn't talk about my mom. Not yet. That conversation would come, but it wasn't today's work. Instead, we talked about stupid things. She told me she once tried to dye her hair red in her 20s and ended up orange. I told her about the time I tried to impress a girl by riding a bike with no hands and hit a parked car. We laughed. Really laughed. And I swear, for a moment, we forgot the math of our ages, the people outside the door, the weight we'd both been carrying. I still don't know if this is right, she said, suddenly serious. I still don't know what happens next. You don't have to, I said. We just don't lie about it anymore. She nodded, looked down, then back at me. I used to think people my age weren't allowed to start over. Like whatever love we didn't figure out by 35 was just gone. I didn't know what to say, so I didn't. She reached out slowly, cautiously, and placed her hand on mine. Not a spark, not a fire, just warmth, and something solid. You scared? She asked. Only when you stop looking at me like this. She smiled. This time it reached her eyes. Later that evening, we didn't talk about forever. We didn't talk about labels or futures or what other people might think. We just made dinner. She cut vegetables. I burned the rice. We stood side by side in her too small kitchen, brushing shoulders, swapping glances, laughing at nothing. And it felt like something real. Not perfect, not certain, but real. I left late. She walked me to the door, barefoot, arms crossed against the chill. I turned back, just once, before heading to my car. You still think you're not a good idea? I asked. She didn't answer, just smiled. And then, soft, almost like a dare, she said, come back tomorrow. I'll make better rice. I didn't smile, not outwardly, but inside. Yeah. I was already home.